Hello everyone, so today we're going to be reviewing the MAKINAaudio T-100B. This IEM was sent out to me directly from MAKINAaudio, so unlike my other reviews, this will be sent out just like my TikToks. Again, I'll be staging this just like my TikTok reviews, so this will go by accessories, appearance, accessories, sound, and then it will go by fit, and then I'll give my my rating out of 10. So this set, let's just give some background on the brand because they're a pretty new brand. So this set was made over the period of 6 years, and it essentially has been like refined over those 6 years. So I'm pretty sure they've only been working on this set specifically for 6 years. So yeah, honestly, you can tell from the way this set was it's just overall like just designed. It's a really it just seems like a really polished set, and so is the tuning. So yeah. So in terms of appearance, this set has a very sort of like a retro IEM feel. Not retro in the sense of like general retro tech, but like a reference, a retro in the like IEM terms, like the IEM way. So like an older type of IEM design. So it has this like transparent shell. I'll put up the camera. It has like a transparent shell. The silver on the actual IEM, like on the termination and on the like the pins, not the pins, the connectors, it's really high quality. Like it's super smoothed out. It feels amazing. Like to essentially turn just this like termination, like to spin it, it's completely smooth. Like I don't feel any type of like resistance to it. There is resistance obviously because it's a screw, but it just feels smooth and it feels really easy to use, which is just amazing. The cable itself just looks great. It's probably one of the only thinner cables I actually like to use and I actually like to look at, because what I find with a lot of thinner cables is they end up just sort of looking off with the IEM. It's just not as, you know, coherent with the overall aesthetic. So yeah, great package, just great design overall. Now going on to the accessories. So this IEM doesn't come with a lot of accessories, specifically because it is a new brand, and I guess they just sort of want to polish the accessories rather than just like just shove a bunch of them in there like TRN or something. So you get a warranty card. You get a 4.4mm termination, you get extra ear tips, and you also get the IEM itself with the cable. And I'm pretty sure these ear tips were already attached. So yeah, pretty good overall accessories package for an IEM from a company that just started. Like I know it can be hard to get your hands on these accessories when you're starting out, so yeah, it's fine. And it just obviously eat into the cost, and if they don't want to eat into the cost and just focus on the IEM itself, because this IEM is very special, and I'll go over that in a second. So yeah, in terms of like ear tip quality, I think this is really good. I go over ear tip quality a lot on this channel, specifically because ear tips can change the overall tonality of a set really drastically. These tips, I think, are done very well, especially for the intended tonality of the set. I don't see this messing up with the intended tonality, at all. Specifically, the bore size is really good. This is like a medium to wide. If we compare it to the Sankai wide bore tips, it is definitely on the wider side, nearing wide. It's not narrow. I don't actually like narrow bore tips, because narrow bore tips somewhat mess up the ear gain and somewhat make it somewhat natural, messing up the scaling and yada yada. I don't like them. I like when tips are wider. It just allows more details to get pulled through. So yeah, good ear tip choice. The bore stiffness is very good. It's not too stiff, so it won't just like open up on the sides, and the grippiness of the actual like outer rim of the tip, you know, the actual contact surface here, is actually very good. It feels very grippy. And I'm pretty sure this is like either medical silicone or it's just normal silicone. And if it's just normal silicone, that's insane that they managed to do that. So yeah, great set. So Once I get this back on, I'll go over the sound. So yeah, sound, overall, this set, I'll pull up the graph right now. The set is very, very neutral and very, very natural. It has a somewhat full nature to the mid-range tonality, and then in terms of treble timbre, it's sweet with a somewhat like, the airiness isn't breathy per se. I'd say it's more wispy if anything, and that's probably due to the conjunction and, well, the mix of the, like, the air sort of being not too pushed up with more emphasis on the 8K peak. So we're going to start with the sub bass. The sub bass isn't the focus here at all. Just want to put that out of the way. If you want sub bass, this set probably isn't for you, but I would still say give it a try just because this set is something I really like. The sub bass is really no, it's not tactile. What am I talking about? It's not tactile. This sub bass is, it's not tactile. It's somewhat soft. This is probably due to more emphasis being put in the mid bass per se. The mid bass definitely takes sort of focus here. When I'm listening to songs from like Jade's and like other plug and B songs, there isn't much tactility to those bass notes. It's more mid bassy. It's definitely more punchy, which I do kind of prefer. But obviously, if you want to listen to like rap and stuff, I wouldn't say the bass on this is meant for that. I'd say this is actually really good for stuff like rock, metal, classical, jazz, because there is that mid bass kick drum in rock and metal, and obviously jazz does benefit from that as well. So yeah, the mid bass is not meaty per se like on the SR9 or on like the Awful Explorer. It's more sort of just a punch that's there, and it's very, very fast because the decay is quite quick because it doesn't bleed into the mid range too much, but it's there, and when you hear it, it's there. It's like a quicker mid bass emphasis. Now for lower mids, I would say that it does sort of lean towards full. I wouldn't say it's fully clear, which I do quite like because it makes male vocals more natural. And if you sort of lean towards full rather than warm, it does also benefit the female vocals too. In terms of female vocals, I think they are quite benefited from the 8K peak, which I'll go over in a second. Upper mids, I think the upper mids do actually sound quite good. They scale really, this set scales so good, which is why I would recommend this so strongly for rock and metal, because it's so natural when you scale it and so engaging. Like, this set is super engaging. So the ear gain, it's quite smooth. You can tell on the graph that it's pushed down quite a bit compared to other sets. If you push this set up, the ear gain essentially gets lifted along with the volume, so it's essentially being scaled, which that's what scaling means. It pushes it up. So yeah, very good ear gain. It suits the set quite a bit, I'd say. Now for presence, I'd say the presence on this set isn't actually very metallic. It does have sort of like a tactility to the transients, which do help with obviously rock and metal and other genres like classical. But honestly, I wouldn't say it's super metallic, which I do like. It's quite smooth, giving it this sort of softer decay. So yeah. Now here's the star of the show, the 8K peak. Now, when I first got this set, it did this thing where on the 8K peak, when a shimmer would start, the BA would just like tweak. It would basically have like a heart attack, and then I would hear this like sizzle, and it was very strange, and I didn't like it. And yeah, but after like just sort of leaving it there, MAKINAaudio actually recommended me to do some birding, but I kind of forgot to do that. But it sort of just went away on its own overnight. So I don't know what happened. I didn't actually even get used to it because I didn't use the set for like the whole night. I woke up, used it again, listened to it, and I made this review, so you know. But yeah, the 8K peak, regardless of that, if you get the set and the 8K peak sounds weird, just leave it. It'll fix itself. If not, I don't really believe in burn-in, but hey, if MAKINAaudio tells you to use burn-in, just try it and see if it works. If not, then just ask them for the warranty with the warranty card they include, which is nice. I'm glad they do that. So yeah, in terms of 8K peak, the 8K peak is really, really sparkly, and it has this really, really nice, sweet, just like sound to it. It's really shimmery. It brings out like a lot of stuff forward that I wouldn't hear most on other sets, mostly on other sets. It's just really, really great. Cymbals sound really, really natural. They don't sound like sibilant, obviously, because it's not that high of an 8K peak regardless, but it definitely does bring out female vocals to a point that it makes them natural regardless of how warm the mid-range is, which I think is just great. I'm really impressed they did that. Now going on to air, which is probably my least favorite part of the set. I don't think this set has some crazy technicalities. In terms of air, I'd say that it sort of has a more wispy characteristic, as I said before, due to the 8K peak sort of taking emphasis with that sparkle, and that, which I'm glad they did, honestly. If that's how the set's going to sound, I'm happy about that. But I will say the 8K peak, not the 8K peak, the air region isn't crazy. It's not super airy, and like, it's not going to pull out a crazy amount of details, but for what it is, for literally being a single BA, yes, this is a single balanced armature, it's kind of insane they managed to even get the amount of air they did. Because the set has to work on everything else, which is probably why they didn't try to go for too much sub bass, which I'm happy about. On other sets with other brands, I feel like they would have sort of jumped the gun and thought, hey, I'm him, let's add like 20 decibels of sub bass, which they didn't do, which I'm glad they didn't, because in reality, most single BAs at this price point probably won't get that much sub bass, and that's fine. We don't have to be doing that, and that's what's so great about this set. It brings the strengths of a BA to forefront, and it just like extrudes them. That 8K peak is like the definition of what BA is good for. It's crazy. Now, sound over. We're gonna go over to fit. This set actually, okay, so I don't use MMCX IEM, so this took me a while to get used to. But yeah, the set actually has a really, really nice fit. It's really, really like, they say in the product listing for the spreadsheet they gave me that it's essentially supposed to be like a lightweight everyday IEM, and I can definitely see that. Not only is the genre like usage quite versatile in like a few popular genres, but this set is just straight up like really, really like comfortable. Like the cable itself is really lightweight, so I'm not gonna really feel this much when I'm in use. And so the hooks. These hooks aren't actually like morphed so that it's bent to a specific shape. So it will essentially shape to your ears, which I think is quite nice. Some people might have an issue with that just because it might not feel as tight as other IEMs, but I think it's fine. Nozzle, I didn't actually check how large the nozzle is, but it's pretty small from what I can tell. It's really comfortable, so don't worry about the nozzle size at all. Shell shape, I think it's actually really unique. So if we look at sort of this angle, most IEMs would have like this like bump here, like a bump here, right? This set doesn't have any of that. It's just completely flat, and I sort of like that because it sort of just lets it have a shallow fit on the shell itself and then a deep fit on the nozzle itself, which I think is quite nice because it doesn't sort of allow for any pressure points to go through. It's just great. The fit is just great. That's all I gotta say. Now for genres and overall thoughts, I'm gonna have to rate this set probably like an 8.4 out of 10. I think it's really great, especially for this price point. I would say it's probably better than most sets like the Hexa. I think this is better than the Hexa. I'm gonna say I think this is better than the Hexa, just because I think that it's less it's more scalable than the Hexa, which I like more. The vocals are more natural than the Hexa in my opinion, and I think that the sub bass that comes with the Hexa I don't think is needed much. Now, do I think this is better than the Pure? I don't know. I don't know yet, because I did use the Pure, but I haven't used it in a while, so I would have to do a comparison video with this and the Pure just to discuss a few things. and then I'd have to make my decision. But overall, 8.4. This set is great. Genre specifically, I think this would be great for rock or metal. Any alternative genre, probably indie, just because of how good the shimmer is, and also classical music, because I think this is just, you know, any natural super low sub bassy set would probably be good for, you know, classical. Do keep in mind the details aren't too crazy on the set, but yeah, that's my overall thoughts on the MAKINAaudio T-100B. Thank you guys for watching, and see ya.